This is my first video of the year, and it's a bit late in the year, and it's not the ideal kind of video to make. But I wanted to try and make a video about what the global war situation and the new tensions that there are in the Middle East and what they mean for potentially domestic energy supply in the UK. The reason I want to do this is to try and help customers and people in GB understand the politics and the energy prices and the electricity discussions in the media, especially with the Green Party on the rise and elections happening all the time. I want to help people understand the context around how global events can affect domestic electricity prices. So first of all, I want to express that I am against war. War is obviously a human tragedy. I hate that people are losing their lives. I hate that there's a destruction of society, infrastructure, and just tensions that have been created that will take a long time to get over, to end, whatever happens. And that's just a tragedy. And I hope for peace in the world. And one of the reasons I hope for peace in the world is because peace allows us to have the best chance of stopping climate change, and that is one of my goals. It's something that I believe in, that it's within our possibility as a human race to stop and control climate change and to be able to live in some sort of harmonious situation with nature while understanding how energy really works and to get some sort of sustainable relationship with energy. However, right now the globe, since after COVID, has basically moved towards a more energy security focused place where every individual country is more incentivized to have their own sources of energy, mostly fossil fuels, themselves, and in doing so the overall efficiency of the world energy system has gone down and the resiliency of each individual nation has gone up. And so specifically what's happening in the last week is that USA and Israel have started a war with Iran, and Iran, as a retaliation, has started firing on US bases across the Middle East. And most of the US bases and most of the Middle East countries' infrastructure that the USA and Israel have, and the stuff that Iran's targeting, is around the energy sector. So a lot of the Middle East is an oil producing countries, and Iran also is, but also there is within the area there's lots of transport pathways that are essential for the global supply of energy, and that's both crude oil and liquid natural gas, so natural gas in a cryogenic liquid form. And especially states like Qatar in the last couple decades have become LNG exporters, make a lot of money through sending liquid natural gas across the world in tankers, and they've been attacked some of the sites there, and specifically everyone who produces in that area has to send their products through the Strait of Hormuz and through the Suez Canal, and these places have been essentially closed down and can potentially add lots of cost to the transport of fossil fuels if they have to go through the Mediterranean and maybe other routes. This has a massive knock-on effect on lots of global economies, and the thing that we can look at for what might happen next is the war in Ukraine. When that started, what happened was that gas prices spiked in Europe because Russia and Europe gas flows became less, Nord Stream pipelines became inactive, and prices for gas spiked in Europe, and a lot of that gas ended up coming from the south of the USA, and instead of that natural gas flowing to Asia, which it would have done under usual conditions, the boats turned around and went to Europe. So we're seeing the same sorts of things happening now, where LNG ships in transit, so this is a large tanker with liquid natural gas on board, can turn around and go to the port where the highest gas prices are. So that would be the country with the highest demand for natural gas in its national gas distribution networks. So what happened in the Ukraine war with domestic energy in GB was that we had lots of suppliers going into it, and a supplier that you pay for electricity in Great Britain and the UK typically won't own its own power plant. It doesn't own the power plants, and it also doesn't own the natural gas exploration and distribution or oil facilities. The person that you pay for energy in your house is a financial entity that then buys energy on your behalf. And for the majority of UK customers, and as every single supplier will have a mix of these customers, the majority of customers need electricity and gas. And so the individual companies have a requirement to buy gas and electricity ahead of time. That's called hedging, so that they have enough supply to guarantee to you. Now, what's going to happen if gas prices in Europe spike is that it's going to cost a lot of money for each individual supplier, that's who you pay for energy, to buy energy on your behalf, that's electricity and gas. And forward electricity prices are also going to be expensive because of their connection to gas through gas power, which still generates 30, 40, 50% of our electricity on any given day. So the integrity of the suppliers is at risk, and what happened in Ukraine was that a lot of the suppliers folded because they didn't have enough credit to buy energy far enough in advance. Now that could also happen in Great Britain. There's a lot less suppliers, and the biggest supplier, Octopus, has done a lot to put people on flexible tariffs and have people have their own infrastructure at home. A lot of this could be at risk if the costs to run a business like Octopus go up because of the costs of hedging the gas supply into the future. This could mean that people with infrastructure like solar panels and batteries have stranded assets when their supplier fails. But in general, it's going to put a high price back onto domestic energy prices, going quite a long way into the future, because we have the price cap in place, which caps the amount of costs that the suppliers can pass to the customers, which means that if they can't pass all the costs right now, they might just have to have higher costs for a lot longer. So we were just seeing that starting to tail off after the Ukraine payback period, and now we might enter a new payback period, unfortunately. So we might see electricity prices rise in the short term and stay quite high for the long term because of the price cap dynamic. So I'm going to talk more about this in another video coming up soon. Thank you.